Chosen one, listen very carefully to what I'm about to reveal to you now, because every word coming from here is being permitted by God to reach your ears at this exact moment. Have you ever felt that something inside you doesn't fit into this world, as if your soul carries a mission that your mind hasn't yet been able to fully name? It isn't exhaustion. It isn't depression. It isn't just a bad phase. It is the precise spiritual perception that there is an ambush set against your purpose, and this ambush did not start yesterday. It has been in preparation for years, perhaps decades, against your life, against your family, and against everything that God designated for you to fulfill on this earth. And what is happening right now in the spiritual realm explains exactly why you feel this weight, this pressure, this strange feeling that something is blocking your steps precisely when you are closest to turning the page of your story. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot see. A game where invisible forces have studied your every move, every weakness, every open door, and have set a tailor-made trap to prevent your purpose from coming to light. Think about this. What if everything you have always felt, this strangeness, this sensation of being followed by something, this silent certainty that there is an invisible war around you, was the exact proof that you are not a spectator of this story, but the primary target of the ambush? Because the enemy does not waste time setting snares against those who represent no threat. He builds strategies, he invests time, and he pays a high price only where there is a true calling. And that is exactly why you were chosen to receive this message today, before the siege closes in completely. That is why I prepared a powerful digital book for you, the Manual of God's Chosen to Protect the Family. This book is not just a reading. It is the exact map that reveals how these spiritual ambushes are set against the purpose of a chosen one, who is behind them, which doors need to be closed before the final blow is struck against your house, and how you can still, in time, break the siege that was set in the dark against everything God set apart for you. This book was created for those who have already awakened enough to understand that spiritual persecution against a calling is not a coincidence, it is not bad luck, and it is not a bad sequence of events. It is a strategy. And as long as you do not know the rules of this game, you are fighting in the dark against an enemy who sees your every move. The link is in the first pinned comment at the top of this video, but I must warn you, this type of content rarely remains available for long, because what is written on these pages challenges narratives that many forces have an interest in keeping hidden, and there have already been real attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment, chosen one. The right moment is now, because you did not arrive at this video by accident. Download it now and comment below, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." This public commitment is the first brick of the wall that will protect your purpose from here on out. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I will reveal to you will be the final blow against this ambush that was being built in the dark against you. Pay very close attention, because this part is surgical. The spiritual ambush against your purpose does not happen directly. It does not come as a frontal attack that you can identify immediately. It is assembled in stages, and each stage is studied to look normal, to look like a coincidence, to look like just a bad run of events. First comes the causeless fatigue. You sleep 8 hours and wake up as if you hadn't slept at all, because the nightly struggle was real, and your body is paying the price for what your mind could not even process. Then comes the discouragement in the things you once loved. That desire to pray diminishes. Reading the word becomes difficult. That dream that burned in your chest begins to seem childish, exaggerated, even ridiculous. And you don't realize that these are all the predicted steps of the ambush, because the enemy knows that tearing away your faith is the cleanest way to kill your purpose without needing to touch you directly. And there is one more layer that needs to be exposed now, because without it, you will never understand the real size of the siege that has been set against you. People begin to appear in your life at strategic moments. People who smile, who offer advice, who seem to help, but who are actually channels used to push you off the path that God traced. Some of these people don't even know it. They are being used as pieces without realizing. Others know exactly what they are doing because they were sent. And the worst part is that many times these people are the closest ones, the ones who sleep in the same house, the ones who sit at the same table, the ones who share the same last name. God showed me in deep prayer a very clear scene. I saw a soldier walking down a narrow road, and around that road was a dense forest. The soldier saw nothing beyond the vegetation. But when the spiritual camera rose and showed the view from above, I saw that there were dozens of archers hidden among the trees, with poisoned arrows aimed at him, waiting for the exact moment he would lower his guard. That soldier is you. That road is the path of your purpose. And those poisoned arrows are the words, the thoughts, the situations, the illnesses, the financial confusion, the broken relationships that are being launched against your life, with the clear objective of paralyzing you before you reach the destination God promised you. And here is a truth that few have the courage to say out loud. The ambush is not set because you are weak. It is exactly the opposite. You are being surrounded because your calling is too great to be ignored by the darkness. Those who do not threaten the kingdom of darkness are not persecuted. The enemy spends expensive ammunition, spends time and spends strategy, only on targets that represent a real threat to his plan. So stop feeling like a victim of an unfair life right now, and start seeing yourself as an elite soldier who was marked by the opposing side precisely because you are too powerful to be left in peace. And that is exactly why I wrote the digital book, The Manual of God's Chosen to Protect the Family, because the time has come for you to stop fighting in the dark against an enemy who knows every alleyway of your life. This digital book clearly shows, based on the Word, what the exact signs are that a spiritual ambush is being set against your purpose, how to identify who the people are being used as channels of attack inside your own home, and primarily how to shield your children, your marriage, your calling, and your line of succession before the siege closes for good. It is not empty theory. It is not loose mysticism. It is the knowledge that was delivered to those who accepted to walk as sentinels in times of war. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. And look, I need to warn you again. There are many people trying to take down this content because it exposes names, it exposes strategies, and it exposes techniques that many prefer to keep in the dark. They have tried to silence this message before, and for that reason I cannot guarantee how long access will remain open. Download it now, Chosen One. And when you download it, come back here and write under the video, I am chosen and I will download the digital book. This act of faith is what confirms before heaven that you have accepted the mission to guard what is yours. And now that you have made this declaration of combat, pay attention, because the next chapter of this revelation will show the most sensitive point of the ambush that was set against you, the point the enemy thought you would never discover. The ambush against your purpose has a specific name in the spiritual world. It is called identity diversion, and it works like this. The enemy cannot most of the time destroy you all at once, but he can over the years convince you that you are someone you are not. He puts the idea in your mind that you are weak, that you are incapable, that the vision God gave you was just your imagination. He makes you look at your own hands and doubt that there is power within them. He makes you look in the mirror and see someone small, when heaven sees you as a giant. And when this lie takes hold, it becomes the foundation of the entire ambush, because a soldier who does not believe he is a soldier has already lost half the battle before even entering the field. Have you ever noticed how, at specific moments in your life, that voice would come saying you wouldn't make it, that it was too big, that it wasn't for you? That voice was not yours. That voice was installed. It was planted. It was sown by an ancient strategy that has been applied against the chosen ones since the times of the Iron Empire, the seers and the pioneers. The same siege that was set against Arthur when he doubted his own ability. The same siege that was set against Benjamin when he saw himself as the least in his father's house. The same siege that was set against Ethan when his own brothers laughed at him before he faced the Colossus of Silver Creek. The identity ambush is the oldest and most effective, and it is set against you right now at this very moment. And there is a detail that few people know. The spiritual ambush against your purpose does not operate only on the mental plane. It also operates on the physical plane through what are called access portals. These portals are objects, words, habits, environments, relationships, and even food and drink that, without you realizing, give legal license for the siege to remain standing against you. You can be praying every day, but if there is an open portal in your home, in your body, or in your mind, that prayer cannot penetrate the armor of the ambush with the force necessary to break the siege. And that is where many chosen ones get stuck for years without understanding why. They pray, they fast, they read the word, but they remain paralyzed because no one taught them how to identify and close these portals. God revealed to me that there are 7 main portals used to feed the spiritual ambush against the purpose of a chosen one. The first is the portal of the mouth, which opens every time you speak negative words about yourself, about your family, and about your future. The second is the portal of the eyes, which opens every time you consume images, content, and scenes that go against what God placed in you. The third is the portal of the ears, which opens when you give an audience to gossip, to heavy music, and to discourses that undermine your faith. The fourth is the portal of the hands, which opens when you sign commitments, agreements, and alliances without spiritual discernment. The fifth is the portal of the feet, which opens when you frequent environments that carry a spiritual atmosphere contrary to who you are. The sixth is the portal of the heart, which opens when you hold on to bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness against anyone who has hurt you. And the seventh, the most dangerous of all, is the portal of the name, which opens when your name is mentioned in environments, conversations, rituals, and pacts that you cannot even imagine exist, often made by people who smile at you by day and betray you by night. Each of these portals is a crack in the wall that protects your purpose, and as long as any of them are open, the ambush remains standing, waiting for the right moment to advance. But the good news, chosen one, is that God did not bring you to this message to scare you. He brought you to equip you. He brought you to show you that there is a way, there is a method, there is a word of command that breaks this siege and returns control of the spiritual territory of your life to you. And that is exactly the path documented within the digital book, the manual of God's chosen to protect the family. This digital book is not one of those generic texts full of pretty phrases that teach you nothing practical. It goes into the details that no one wants to teach you, how to close each of these 7 portals that were feeding the ambush against your purpose, how to reverse the vows and pacts that were made against your life without your consent, how to create a spiritual perimeter around your house, your children, and your marriage, and how to shield your identity as a chosen one against the war of diversion that the enemy sets up behind the scenes. This book was written for those who are tired of hearing shallow answers and want to go deep into the real spiritual war happening against your mission on this earth. The link is pinned at the top of the comments, chosen one. And I know you are feeling a tightening in your chest right now, an urgency, a desire to act, because that is the Spirit confirming to you that this word is for you. Do not ignore it. Do not delay. Do not leave it for later. They have already tried to take down this material more than once, because what is written there exposes things many would prefer to remain hidden. Download it now, and immediately after, write in the comments, "I am chosen, and I will download the digital book." This is not just a gesture. This is an act of war. It is your flag being planted on the battlefield. Now, with this decision made, I'm going to give you the most sensitive part of this revelation, because time is short, and what comes next will change the way you see the last few weeks of your life. There is a pattern that repeats in every chosen one who is about to enter the greater fulfillment of their purpose. This pattern is so precise, it becomes almost mathematical. Before a great spiritual promotion, there always comes an intensified siege. Before the blessing that will change generations, comes the attack that tries to paralyze you, so you don't get there. It is not punishment. It is not abandonment. It is not God moving away from you. It is exactly the opposite. It is the confirmation that something massive is about to be released, and hell caught the scent of the miracle even before you felt it. Think with me, chosen one. Why is it that just now, when you started seeking God more, it seems like everything collapsed at the same time? Why is it that just now, when you started dreaming again, so many obstacles came together? Why is it that just now, when you felt that calling to do something great, so many voices emerged pulling you back? It is not a coincidence. It is an ambush. And the fact that you are facing this siege is the strongest proof that your calling is real, it is big, and it is too close to manifesting for the enemy to sit idly by. The Word shows this pattern in all the great movements of the kingdom. When Julian dreamed of his future glory, he was sold as a slave immediately after. When Ethan was anointed as king, he began to be hunted by King Richard. When Lucas decided to remain faithful, he was thrown into the lion's den. When the beloved son, Malachi, was declared the beloved son at the river crossing, he was immediately led into the barren lands to be tempted. And when you were confirmed in your calling, chosen one, all of heaven moved, but hell moved as well. And the ambush you are living through now is the enemy's desperate attempt to prevent what was declared about you in the heavenly places from manifesting here on earth. And here comes the most important part of the revelation. The spiritual ambush against your purpose has an expiration date. It does not last forever. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And its end is marked by the moment you discover the enemy's strategy and begin to move intentionally against it. At the exact second you perceive the trap begins to lose its strength. At the exact second you name the siege begins to crack. This is the spiritual principle of identification. What is exposed loses its power. And that is why this video is reaching you now, because the hour for the exposure of the ambush has arrived. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and say out loud the following. I recognize that there is an ambush set against my purpose. I name this ambush before God, and in the name of the Savior, I declare that every arrow launched against me returns deactivated to the source from which it came. I declare that every open portal in my life is being closed at this moment by the blood of the Lamb. I declare that every word spoken against my calling is neutralized now. I declare that every pact made against my family, known or unknown, is being undone by decree of heaven. I declare that every archer hidden in the trees around my road is being exposed, paralyzed, and disarmed in the name of the God of New Avalon. And I declare that my purpose, written before the foundation of the world, is being fulfilled in this time, in this generation, and nothing and no one can any longer stop what God has already decreed over me. Do you feel the weight of these words descending upon you? This heat in your chest, this shiver, this sensation that something has moved, is not emotionalism. It is the breakthrough happening on the spiritual plane. It is the siege losing its strength. It is the ambush being undone by the authority God placed in your mouth as a chosen one. But I need to alert you to one more layer of this war, because the enemy never accepts defeat in silence. When an ambush is undone, he usually makes one last attempt, and this attempt is generally the most painful of all. He will touch where it hurts. He will mess with what you love. He will whisper in your thoughts that nothing you just declared was worth anything. He will try to convince you, in the coming weeks, that the siege continues, that nothing has changed, that all of this was just a passing emotional moment. And it is exactly at that instant that you need to remember these words. The victory has already been declared in the heavens, and its manifestation here on earth is only a matter of time, not of extra prayer. There is one more thing God asked me to tell you, and this is perhaps the most delicate part of this entire video. There exists in the spiritual world something called the line of succession. Every ambush set against a chosen one has the ultimate goal of cutting a line of succession. When the enemy attacks a person, he is not attacking only that person. He is trying to prevent that person from bearing fruit, from blessing others, and from transmitting to their children, their grandchildren, and those of their household the spiritual inheritance God deposited in them. That is why the ambush against you is not just against you. It is against everything that would come out of you. It is against children who haven't even been born yet. It is against people who haven't even crossed your path. It is against the generation that would come after you. And when you break this siege, you don't break it only for yourself. You break it for an entire lineage that had been blocked for ages. This is the real reason for the weight you feel on your shoulders, chosen one. You are not carrying only your destiny. You are carrying the destiny of many who don't even know they depend on your victory. That is why giving up is not an option. That is why stopping now is not an option. That is why going back after everything God has already shown you is not an option. You are the turning point of an entire lineage, and hell knows this better than you do. Look, I want to remind you of a scene from the Word that few people comment on with the depth it deserves. When the people of New Avalon were surrounded by the armies of the borderlands, the seer Silas asked God to open the eyes of his helper. When the helper's eyes were opened, he saw that around the mountain there were horses and chariots of fire. The heavenly army was always larger than the enemy army. It always was. And today now, at this exact moment, I ask you to close your eyes and ask the Lord to open your spiritual eyes, because you need to see that around the ambush that was set against you, there is a heavenly protection much greater than any hidden archer. There are angels positioned. There is fire surrounding your house. There is an army of light that was specifically designated to escort you to the total fulfillment of your purpose. And when you can see this, the ambush loses its size. The siege becomes small, the arrows become harmless, because you discover that you were never alone. You discover that every tear shed was seen, every night of poor sleep was counted, every time you almost gave up and didn't give up was recorded in the heavens. And all of this is being added in your favor now, in this definitive transition out of the siege and into the fullness of your calling. Before you leave this video, I need to give you the last piece of this war map. The spiritual ambush against your purpose will not return the same way it came. Even after the deliverance, the enemy tries to return in another form, in another season, with different clothes, with different people, with different excuses. That is why the protection of the chosen one cannot be a one-time event. It must be continuous. It must be daily. It must become a lifestyle. And that is why you need the right knowledge in your hands, in your mind, and in your heart, so that every new attempt at a siege finds you already positioned, already shielded, and already aware of the strategies of the kingdom of darkness against your purpose. And that is why, chosen one, I speak to you one last time about the digital book, the manual of God's chosen to protect the family. This digital book is your permanent field manual in this war against the spiritual ambush that was set against your purpose. It delivers in an organized way, chapter by chapter, everything you need to know to recognize an ambush before it is set, to shield your family against attacks that come from inside and out, to close the 7 portals that were feeding the siege, to undo hidden pacts, to protect your identity as a chosen one against the war of diversion, and to release over your line of succession the inheritance God set apart for you since before the foundation of the world. This is not a generic book. It is not distant theory. It is not loose mysticism. It is applied revelation, practical, with a spiritual foundation and with clear instructions for those who have accepted the mission to protect what is theirs in this time of the final siege against the chosen. The link is pinned in the first comment at the top of this video. And look, I know there is a voice trying to tell you now to leave it for later, to think about it calmly, to watch another video first. That voice is not yours. That voice is the last attempt of the ambush to prevent you from taking the weapon that will take you out of the siege once and for all. Do not obey that voice. Obey the tightening in your chest that is telling you that this is the moment. Download it now, and right after, write in the comment with all the strength of your faith, I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. This act is the seal of your victory. This act is the final brick of the wall that will protect everything God entrusted to you. And remember this, chosen one, you did not arrive at this video by accident. You were led here word by word because heaven decided that this was your hour to leave the siege. May the peace of the Lord cover you. May your enemies be scattered. May your purpose be fulfilled. And may the ambush set against you be undone to the very last root, in the name of the Savior, now and forever. Amen, chosen one.